The wind howled outside as rain lashed against the old Victorian house. Amber, 19, was alone for the weekend while her parents were away on a trip. She paced the creaky wooden floors of the living room, her unease growing. The house had always made strange noises, groaning pipes, settling wood. But tonight, something felt different. Amber clutched her phone, scrolling aimlessly to distract herself. Suddenly, the faint sound of shuffling came from upstairs. She froze, heart pounding. The wind? No, it sounded too deliberate. She tiptoed toward the staircase, every creak underfoot amplifying her paranoia. "Hello," she called, her voice trembling. Silence answered. She bit her lip, debating whether to investigate or barricade herself in her room. Just as she reached the bottom step, the lights flickered. Her breath hitched. The house seemed to exhale with her, the walls groaning faintly, as if they were alive. Then, a soft thud echoed from the second floor, a sound like a door closing. Amber bolted to the kitchen, grabbing a knife. "It's nothing," she whispered to herself. "Old house, bad wiring, that's all." But deep down, she knew it wasn't. As she peered up the dark staircase, her phone buzzed in her pocket. Relief washed over her until she saw the message. "Why are you hiding?" Amber's fingers trembled as she stared at the screen. The number was unlisted. Her heart raced as another message appeared. "I see you." Her pulse roared in her ears. Every instinct screamed for her to run, but her legs felt rooted to the floor. She forced herself to move, backing into the living room. She locked the door behind her, her eyes darting toward the windows. The rain blurred the glass, distorting the outside world. Then, a soft knock came from upstairs. Amber clutched the knife tighter, her knuckles white. "Whoever you are, I'm calling the police," she shouted, hoping to sound braver than she felt. Her phone buzzed again. "I wouldn't do that if I were you." Amber's mind raced. How were they seeing her? Her eyes darted to the dark corners of the room, the vents, the cracks in the walls. Cameras? She crept toward the fireplace, where her father had once told her about an old crawl space behind it. If she could get in, she could escape through the cellar. But as she tugged at the panel, another sound came, this time, from the living room closet. The door creaked open. Amber spun around, knife raised, but the room was empty. She stepped closer, holding her breath. The closet door swung wider, revealing nothing but shadows. Then, a low whisper brushed against her ear. "You're not alone." The knife clattered to the floor as the room plunged into darkness. Amber's scream died in her throat as darkness engulfed the room. Her trembling hands fumbled for her phone, the only source of light she could rely on. When she finally turned on the flashlight, its beam sliced through the shadows, but the room was empty. "Get a grip," she muttered, backing toward the fireplace again. But as the faint light swept across the floor, her phone buzzed again. Another message. "You're wasting time." Panic set in. Amber tugged harder at the fireplace panel, her breathing ragged. It gave way with a groan, revealing a narrow, dusty crawl space. She squeezed through, scraping her arms against the rough wood. The walls seemed to close in around her, the air growing colder with every inch. She crawled toward the cellar door, her flashlight flickering. Then she heard it, a low, guttural laugh echoing from behind her. Someone or something was in the crawl space with her. Amber crawled faster, her knees scraping against splintered boards. She reached the cellar door and pushed it open, tumbling into the cold, damp basement. She slammed the door shut and jammed a broken broomstick against it. But the laughter didn't stop. It was louder now, resonating from the walls themselves. The basement was pitch black except for Amber's flickering flashlight. Her breaths came in short gasps as she scanned the room, knife in hand once more. Old furniture and forgotten boxes loomed like ghosts in the darkness. Her phone buzzed. Do you know who I am? Amber stared at the screen, her mind racing. Who are they? How do they know me? Before she could reply, another message arrived. You should have left when you had the chance. Amber's light dimmed, then went out entirely. A sound, a scraping, dragging noise, came from the far corner of the room. Her body tensed, and she gripped the knife tighter. "Stay away," she screamed, though her voice cracked. From the darkness, a voice replied, low, familiar, dripping with malice. "You're the one who stayed, Amber. Just like before." The air left her lungs. She knew that voice. It belonged to her uncle, a man who had vanished years ago under mysterious circumstances. But how? Why? "You were always so curious." The voice continued closer now. "Always sneaking, always finding things you shouldn't." Amber backed against the cold stone wall. "You're not real. You're..." "Dead?" The voice interrupted. A shadow moved in the dark, and for the first time, Amber saw the faint outline of a figure. "I never left, Amber. I've been here all along." Amber's head spun as the figure stepped into the weak moonlight filtering through a crack in the wall. His face was pale, hollow, and wrong, as though time had warped him into something less than human. His grin widened, revealing teeth sharpened like knives. She bolted for the staircase leading to the main floor. As her feet pounded against the wooden steps, the house seemed to resist her. The walls groaned, the air thickened, and unseen hands seemed to tug at her hair and clothes. The figure's voice echoed behind her. "There's no leaving, Amber. The house won't let you." Reaching the top of the stairs, She threw open the basement door and slammed it shut. She pushed a heavy sideboard against it, panting. For a moment, everything was quiet except for her heartbeat thundering in her ears. Her phone buzzed once more. Last chance, Amber. Let me in. The message filled her with dread, but she didn't dare reply. She ran to the front door, her fingers fumbling with the locks. As she opened it, a force slammed it shut again, knocking her backward. The house shuddered. Shadows spilled from the corners, merging, taking shape. Her uncle's distorted face appeared in the swirling darkness. You think you're leaving? No, Amber. You belong to the house now. She screamed as the walls came alive, tendrils of shadow reaching for her. With a burst of desperation, she hurled herself at the window, shattering the glass. She landed on the wet grass outside, cuts stinging her skin. When she looked back, the house was silent, still, as if nothing had happened. But her phone buzzed one last time. You can't run forever.